In this video, I'm going to show you how I created this sketched summary of a TED Talk, which I turned into a short form explainer video that has gotten 1.4 million views across Instagram and TikTok. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to Verbal to Visual. I'm your host, Doug Neill, and my mission here at Verbal to Visual is to bring visual thinking on par with reading and writing as a fundamental skill to help you make sense of the world. I do that by teaching this skill, but also using it to share interesting ideas that I think are worth spreading. And lately I've been enjoying making short form explainer videos that take a podcast episode, an article, or a video that I've recently watched and summarize it in 2 to 3 minutes. But for those who want to learn or are currently developing their visual thinking skills, I don't just want to show the finished product, which is why in this video I'm going to show you the steps that it took to create this sketch. It started, as all of my visual thinking work does these days, in this large notebook, which I gave a long tour of in a recent video if you want to see all the ways in which I'm using this. For today though, let's focus in on the day when I took notes on a TED Talk about parenting given by Catherine Hecht, called How to Raise Kids Who Can Handle Hard Things. And one thing that I want to emphasize about my approach to visual thinking is that I never try to get to any sort of polish on the first stage of notes that I take. I allow myself to be quick and rough and sloppy in both the words and the sketches that I capture. So this first stage of note taking is just about getting the ideas down as I am initially exposed to them, drawing little icons along the way as they come to me, capturing the key phrases, giving some structure if there's a list or a flow that's described, as I fill the page one kind of rectangle at a time. One way I've described that in the past is the brick road approach to sketchnoting. You don't have a predetermined layout. You just take one idea at a time, find an open chunk of space on the page, fill it with some combination of words and visuals that captures that singular idea, and then wait for the next one to come along and find a spot for that one. These rectangles don't have to be the same size or orientation. They don't have to have the same balance of words and imagery across the page. You just fill it as you go. Get down what you can get down, and making use of the energy of the first exposure to new ideas. I've noticed that when watching a good TED Talk, listening to an interesting podcast, or even reading a good book, I've got the most energy and intrinsic motivation when I first come across those ideas, and I try to leverage that energy as soon as possible into my own sketched summary before the excitement around those ideas kind of fades away just because of familiarity. So I encourage you as well to leverage that energy of the first read or the first listen or the first watch instead of just thinking about what you might do with those ideas or how you might sketch them out. Get to the sketch as soon as possible. In this case, at its core, this talk is about the benefits of exposure therapy. The speaker tells the story of Sammy, who's afraid of bees. And right away, she kind of provides this contrasting of parenting approaches. On the one hand, parenting for comfort, which is about trying to make your kids feel comfortable, which has some problems with it, versus parenting for confidence, which is what she recommends. And she developed this equation around it and even some imagery around this idea of anxiety plus bravery equals confidence. And this is a case where I actually adapted a sketched slide that Hecht used during her TED Talk. And she shares 3 ways that parents can support this approach to developing confidence. And you might notice the helpful parallel structure of there being 3 problems with parenting for comfort and 3 ways in which parents can support the approach that builds confidence. That became useful in the final sketch. I continued on to the next page here. After laying out that framework, she shared Sammy's bravery ladder, the gradual steps that he went through to become more comfortable with bees, and how taking each step, he was rewarded with brave points that he could use to take trips to new restaurants. I like this idea of how parents can lend their nervous system to their kids by remaining calm, how confidence doesn't come from praise or protection, it comes from practice, and it is contagious. Toward the end of the talk, Hecht brought on a handful of other kids, including Sammy, who were holding up signs of the fears that they had overcome with Hecht's help through the anxiety plus bravery equals confidence structure. So that ends stage 1 of my note-taking process, where I was jotting down phrases and doing quick sketches while watching and listening to the talk. I did pause it from time to time to capture specific phrasing or spend just 30 seconds or so on a little icon sketch. But I always try not to keep it paused for too long, because I don't want to lose the momentum and the flow of the talk itself. And depending on what you're up to with your work, that could be the last stage of your notes. This type of capture might be good enough for your purposes. It captures a lot of the key ideas, it gives them structure, there's imagery that you can connect those ideas to, and as long as it makes sense to you, then it's useful. So for example, if you want to get some practice with these skills, you might take visual notes during your meetings at work, and maybe they look something like this. And you're probably unlikely to have the time or the energy to do a polished version of those meeting notes, and in many cases you wouldn't need to, but there might end up being one idea or framework or structure or plan that would be beneficial for other members of your team to see and have reference to. So you could pick just a section of your notes to do a slightly cleaner sketch of and send that out to your team. That's a great way to add value to your team, no matter what setting in which you're working. But like I said, it's totally okay if they just stay as these initial rough sketched notes. They're still a useful reference for you to look back on. In my case, with these notes, I knew that my goal was to create a vertically oriented, short-form explainer video to share these good ideas about parenting. And to move in that direction, I start creating little thumbnail sketches to capture the potential layout of the final sketch. I start by just drawing these rectangles for myself, and then I have to come back and fill them, trying out different potential layouts of the key ideas that I decide I want to focus on. I knew from the get-go that I wanted that anxiety plus bravery equals confidence equation to play a significant role. It didn't feel enough for it to take up the entire page, although I did experiment with something that looks like that, which could have worked. But there were a few other ideas that I wanted to be able to contain, which is why I landed on having that equation in the center of the page. But where it ended up finally clicking is in the fourth thumbnail sketch here, where I landed on this structure in the top part of the sketch with a B in the center and talking about parenting for comfort on the left, those 3 problems with it, and parenting for confidence on the right, in the 3 things that parents can do to support that approach. Then anxiety plus bravery equals courage. And then something here about Sammy's journey. My initial idea was to capture the bravery ladder. I ended up doing something different in this bottom section, which you'll see in the next stage. But this thumbnail sketch here, I liked it enough that I was ready to take it to the next stage. So for me, it varies from project to project how many thumbnail sketches I do. Sometimes I end up leaving a few boxes blank because I land on one that I'm excited about. Now, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to force myself to come up with a few more ideas, because who knows, maybe I would have liked one of these better than this one. But I tend to like moving a little more quickly than that, getting to the next stage of the process, which is why I ran with this particular approach, knowing that if I needed to, if I didn't like how this was coming together when I started polishing it up, I could always come back and brainstorm a few more ideas. And this whole process of creating thumbnail sketches is meant to be quick. I spent much less time sketching these out than I did with the initial set of notes that I took. Because again, energy and momentum is the name of the game here. So after I've got a thumbnail sketch that I like, I move over to my iPad and the app concepts to actually sketch it all out cleanly, fine-tune the layout of everything, and experiment with things until I like how it looks. I've created a frame for myself that's the same dimensions as the piece of paper I will end up sketching this out on while recording it, which is 9 by 12. I start with the B, referencing some images from a Google image search of bee or bee icon. The first one felt a little too cartoonish, and because of the story of Sam's fear of bees, it felt like a more accurate drawing of a bee specimen was the way to go here. And you might be familiar with T-charts, comparing and contrasting 2 different approaches. But in this case, from a visual communication standpoint, instead of drawing that line straight down the middle of the B to create the spaces for parenting for comfort and parenting for confidence, it felt appropriate to curve the line around the B to communicate that approach of parenting for comfort where you're trying to protect your kids from everything. Whereas with parenting for confidence, you expose your kids to some things that are scary. So there's no hard barrier between that section and the B. With the problems of parenting for comfort, I start just with a numbered list, but then come back and add a little icon for each of those ideas. The second of which was familiar to what I initially sketched out. Not the case for the first and third, which I developed on the iPad here. Then we get to that equation of anxiety plus bravery equals confidence. There were specific phrases that were associated with each of those stages that I wanted to connect in. For anxiety, the phrase, "it's okay to be scared." For bravery, the phrase, "I can handle this." And for confidence, "what else am I capable of?" It was a little too boring just like this, so that's when I decided to experiment with that imagery that the speaker shared, with a slight change in layout to make it work horizontally across the page. Then back up to those 3 tips of parenting for confidence, short phrases that came from the talk itself, a little bit of imagery that I developed. You can see here that I'm using a consistent style of drawing people, in this case going with the star people approach, which has kind of been my go-to lately. Then I noticed there was some convenient white space in the sketch for that formula where I could add those 3 phrases associated with each stage. It's that type of integration of supporting text within a visual structure that you've already created that gets me excited about this work. It just feels good when things fit together like that. There's a cleanliness to it, there's a spatial efficiency to it that I really enjoy. Then we get to the last section of the page where I wanted to highlight a little bit more of Sammy's journey, specifically the part where he donned a beekeeper's suit and interacted with a whole hive, and connect that to the idea that bravery is contagious and how brave kids are the ones who will change the world. First, I just did a generic group of people there, which didn't feel like it had enough specificity. So then I brought in their signs, similar to what they did on stage, and added words for the specific fears that they overcame. And then ended with some source details, the specific title of the TED Talk, as well as my signature and website. Now you might have noticed that I didn't do any zooming in while working on all those details, and that's important to me for 2 reasons. First, I'm creating this draft so that I can sketch it out with real pen and paper, which I can't zoom in on. And the second reason is to avoid the tendency toward perfection and paying attention to too many finite details that don't actually matter. I will add a caveat here. If you work digitally and your goal is to end with a clean export of your digital work, there's nothing wrong with zooming into different sections and adding as much detail as you want. It's only because of my specific goals with this project that I don't. So I took that clean and complete full-scale draft, I export an image of it so that I can pull it up on the computer screen in front of me here and use it as a reference when I turn my overhead camera on and actually sketch out everything that you saw. As I mentioned, I use 9 by 12 inch drawing paper that I pull out of this sketchbook. Of course, remove this top part from. And then I use double-sided tape on one side of this paper just to secure it to this paper behind it to make sure it's not moving around as I'm sketching on it. I also rotate my overhead camera here so that it more appropriately fits this frame. And I use a Pentel sign pen to do the sketching, which is different from the Pentel Energel that I use for my first stage notes. This is a great size and flow for filling these pages in this way. But when it comes to recording videos, I need something that creates some bolder marks. And you might notice that while I was sketching this out, there are a few slight differences between the image I exported from my iPad and this, mainly just where the sourcing shows up. The spacing didn't quite work out exactly as I thought it would, so I didn't have space underneath this last section for that information, so I just filled it where I could. There was enough white space here to give the title of the talk, share the speaker info, my info, and website at the bottom. Since I'm sketching this out freehand and just referencing my full draft for where spacing things should go, it's not uncommon that I do end up with some variations like that because it's impossible to get things exactly the right size and exactly the right space. So I found that having that flexibility is important. Completing the recording of the sketch is a pretty big milestone because this is the only stage at which a significant mistake would mean I would have to start over. But assuming everything went relatively well, as it did in this case, I move on to the next stage, which is recording the spoken narration for the explainer video. I don't script that narration, I just pull up the video that I recorded of this sketch so that I can see the order in which the words and images appear, and then I just talk my way through each section, often making mistakes, often needing needing to rephrase and restate certain sections until I've gotten through the whole thing, which could end up taking 20 or 30 minutes, that once edited down, all the mistakes out, all the white space out, where I'm thinking of what to say next, usually ends up being 2 to 3 minutes. I use Adobe Premiere Pro to do my editing, and that's where I bring together my spoken narration with sped up versions of the video of the sketch. Once that is all synced up nicely, I then add the captions, and I use the space just above the sketch for those. With long form, horizontal videos like this one, there's not the expectation to have captions on the screen, but with vertical, short form videos, there kind of is that expectation because some people are watching TikTok or Instagram Reels or YouTube Shorts while in a public setting where they don't have the sound on. Thankfully, Premiere Pro is able to generate those captions from the spoken narration, but there are some errors I need to fix and fine-tuning around the timing and spacing of how they all show up. So that is kind of a time-consuming process. But it's also the last stage of the process, which is exciting to get through because then I can export the video and actually share it. And in this case, it was one that resonated with viewers. I published it about a month ago, and as of this recording, it almost has 1 million views on Instagram and a bit over 400,000 views on TikTok. And I'm not too surprised that this one was popular because there are a lot of parents out there in the world. I am one of them. That's why I'm interested in these ideas. These tips are genuinely helpful and fairly actionable. And there's good storytelling from Catherine Hecht, from the story of Sammy to the structure of parenting for comfort versus parenting for confidence to this formula here that make it an idea worth sharing and a set of ideas that can spread pretty easily. I do wish that I had either made a note here on the sketch or mentioned in the video the fact that this visual structure, the source of it came from the talk itself. I didn't because of page size constraints and time constraints on the narration, but I did share that within a comment on each of the platforms and encouraged folks to go watch the talk themselves. If you haven't yet seen that video, do go check it out. I will link to it below so that you can see how all of that process that I just described, how it came together, and what the final result was. And if this type of work excites you, there are a handful of ways that I will encourage you to follow up on this video. If you're new to this concept of visual thinking and sketchnoting, and you're excited to try it out, I've got a free download called Getting Started with Sketchnoting, where you can check out the first section of my workbook, sharing an introduction around what visual note-taking is all about, as well as the first 18 practice activities, so that you can actually start making marks right away and get a feel for whether or not this is a skill that you'd like to spend some more time on. I will link to that free download below. If you already know that this is a skill you want to develop, then check out our library of online courses at verbaltovisual.com. An introduction to visual note-taking and make models are great starting points, and I even have a course that's specifically about making sketchnote videos. If you'd like an even deeper dive on the video creation process, with tips around the drafting and planning process, and where I actually show you what it looks like to edit with Adobe Premiere Pro, as well as a few other programs. I appreciate you watching this video. I hope you found it useful to see my process. Feel free to run with any of the approaches that I shared and make them your own along the way. And I wish you the best of luck with whatever visual thinking project you've got going on right now. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.